My passion for elder care came from my experience as a lawyer. Throughout the course of my 30 years as a litigation attorney, I focused on different areas of the law. My first job was interning for our county prosecutor, Larry Schneider. And then, of course, once I became a lawyer, joined my dad in the practice of law, which was basically a general practice. And I remember him he got the greatest pleasure of working one-on-one with some of the people he'd known all his life. And as a young lawyer, couldn't understand why he got so much pleasure out of helping those individuals with their wills and estates. But of course, as I got older, understood that the rewards of helping people that you've known all your life is the greatest reward. My dad truly believed that being a lawyer was an act of service. He cared very little about being compensated for it financially. And my mother too. She thought that her role in service to the community was to be a teacher. I remember a story one time about how the school treasurer couldn't figure out why the books weren't balancing. They realized that my mom hadn't cashed a paycheck for almost 9 months. She was there to serve her community as a teacher, and compensation mattered very little to her. And so as I worked in the practice of law, I began to be appointed as guardian for elderly individuals. Oftentimes individuals who, because their families couldn't agree on who would be an appropriate guardian, a lawyer is appointed in that capacity. And a guardian is someone who represents the individual as a whole. We not only are there to handle their finances, but we make day-to-day medical decisions about them. And in becoming a guardian for these people, not only for months or years, but even in one case for decades, you begin to understand the issues that the families face. An incompetent person in Ohio really loses all of their rights, the right to make any decision about their care. And as a result, I began to realize the frailties in the law in that regard, that once a person is appointed as a guardian of someone, that's a very powerful position with really no guidelines as to what a guardian needs to do. Under Ohio's law currently, you can only remove a guardian for financial misconduct, and that's a pretty high standard. But an accounting's only needed to be filed once a year, and in between what happens, how often a person visits, how they relate to the family, there are really no guidelines. So about 3 years ago, the Dispatch printed a great article called Unguarded, 5-part extended series that talked about how many individuals had really suffered at the hands of a law that was really not very explicit into what a guardian needed to do. Together with Attorney General Mike DeWine, we created a 47-page manual of best practices. And I'm proud to say that the governor signed that into law a year ago. It's the beginning. It's just a step, because all it is best practices. Now we need to further define how a family or how someone can make a guardian more responsible by removing them if they don't do certain things.